Drunk driving is an incredibly dangerous situation that many Americans put themselves into every day. According to a poll taken by the American Addiction Centers, 53.5% of people feel capable of driving within 2 hours of drinking. This statistic is not only alarming, it directly represents many people's lack of concern when it comes to this subject. Thousands of people are dying a year because of these incredibly dangerous choices.
If you are ever in a situation where you are even asking yourself the question, am I okay to drive right now? You're probably not. If you've had a few drinks, it's not worth putting your life on the line to get home, especially with convenient and well-trusted drive-share companies like Uber and Lyft that can easily just pick you up and get you home safe and sound. And if you really don't want to use one of these apps, just call a friend or family member. It's a very easy decision to make, and it could potentially be a decision that saves your life without you knowing it.
In 2018, 10,511 people died due to drunk driving-related accidents in the United States. This is a need that's been around the U.S. since the beginning. There needs to be more awareness about the dangers of drunk driving in order to prevent people from getting behind the wheel when they are under the influence.
2 or 3 drinks is all it takes to reach a blood alcohol content of about 0.07 to 0.1, which is described as visibly impaired. We demoed a pair of drunk goggles that simulated a blood alcohol content within this range, and let me tell you, it was definitely not safe to drive, let alone walk down the hallway of our school. Here, you can see for yourself.
An organization that is working to solve this issue is Mothers Against Drunk Driving. The mission of this organization is to end drunk driving, support victims who are in drunk driving-related accidents, and prevent underage drinking. If you would like to help with this issue but don't know what to do, consider donating to Mothers Against Drunk Driving by going to their website, www.madd.org. We are also partnering with the Holliston Police Department because they have experienced firsthand the consequences of drunk driving. Our partner, Officer DiGiorgio, will now share his experience with drunk driving and other information about this issue.
This is our school resource officer, Officer DiGiorgio. He's been here for about 7 years, and we just prepared a few questions for him about drunk driving. So, Officer DiGiorgio, how large of a problem would you say drunk driving is in our community?
Thanks, Julian. Appreciate it. So, right now, with the pandemic, we see that our numbers have gone down a little bit because of, with the governor's guidelines, with recommending everybody stays home. Also, with the businesses are closing earlier now. I believe they have a curfew at 9:30. But so our drunk driving is down.
All right, and then what are some ways you think will help prevent this issue?
I think most important is education. I know it's some discussions are spoken of in health class in the younger years, if it's middle school, and I'm sure there's still some conversations that are being done at the high school level.
We did a lot of those.
Right, but I think it's making good decisions. I think it's I'm a believer in if you make the right decision, you don't get wrapped up in a tough spot. So I think education and putting yourself around good people, I think that's also very important.
All right. And then what are some of the main things you look for when you're identifying a drunk driver?
Going back to the first question, so a lot of times the officer has witnessed some driving behavior, maybe the driver failure to stop at a stop sign, right? And that officer makes a traffic stop, walks up to the car. So during our interaction with that driver, we ask a series of questions: license and registration, where you're coming from, just general conversation. And based on that driver's responses, we can learn a lot about him or her. And based on those answers, are they being truthful with us? An example might be the driver says they're coming from Milford and going to Framingham, but they're traveling in the direction of Milford. So
Yeah.
clearly, as an officer, something's not right here, so you're going to ask some further questions. So it's how they're responding to our questions. During those questions, do we smell alcohol? Do they have a speech that's slurred? How are their motor skills and their behavior during that interaction? And if we feel there's suspicion of alcohol, then we can, ask them to step out of the car, submit to some field sobriety tests, and then, in a sense, we're building our case for OUI liquor, operating under the influence of liquor, and then we can make a decision based on that evidence, really.
So it's basically just whatever the driver does that's like suspicious or like seemingly drinking.
Yeah, if it's a smell of alcohol, if it's open beer cans in the car, or maybe they tell us. We want to judge their impairment to make sure that if they are under the influence of alcohol, they're not safe to drive. We can take them off the road, or they pass everything, they answer our questions, they pass the field sobriety test, and we can let them go on their way.
All right. And then what are some things that stick out to you, like at the scene of a drunk driving accident?
So it's a very eerie feeling to go to a drunk driving accident. I worked a number of years on the overnight shift. I worked from midnight till 8 in the morning, and we saw a lot of drunk driving accidents. And it's something as a police officer that sticks in the back of your mind, because you're on a desolate road. The car's off in a gully. You smell airbag odor. You smell radiator fluid, antifreeze. There's smoke. It's something that really sticks with you as a police officer. You just try to sit down with you guys and educate you guys so you don't put yourself in the same situation.
All right. And then is there any advice that you think will help prevent students or anyone watching from getting themselves into drunk driving situations?
Well, Ari, never put yourself in the situation where you think at the end of the night could put yourself or others in a tough spot. If it's getting into a car with a bunch of friends where at the end of the night the destination is going over so-and-so's house to have a few drinks and then leaving there and then going somewhere else. So if you know that, my recommendation is, never put yourself in that situation. Have a plan in place. I say it all the time. I said, you guys have it a lot easier today regarding getting in touch with people to take yourself out of those bad situations.
Yeah, we got our cell phones.
You got your cell phones, right? So, it's simply, it's just, if it's a group of people and you don't feel comfortable about speaking up, it's very simple. Put that phone up to your ear and just kind of take yourself out of that tough spot. And leave and walk down the street and have your folks pick you up, or have someone responsible pick you up. So my belief is just try to take yourself out of those those situations that could be dangerous or harmful.
It's pretty good advice. And then what are the punishments for drunk driving?
Well, obviously, if you're convicted and you're found responsible and guilty of we call it Massachusetts OUI, it's operating under the influence of liquor. It's there's court fines, there's a loss of license, there's civil responsibility. If you're held responsible and driving under the influence of liquor, and say you hit somebody else, or you hit someone, if you destroy someone else's property, there's a civil responsibility with that as well. So there could be that. If you're also found responsible, there's that's on your record for the rest of your life. A lot of time now with college applications or employment applications, there's a question on there: have you ever been arrested before? The answer is yes. You don't want to get caught lying and say no. That's perjury. So these things do follow you as you get older. It's just not worth it.
All right. Well, anything else you'd like to get across, or think that viewers should hear about drunk driving?
I'm a believer in just always putting yourself around good people that support you, make good decisions. I'm always a believer, and I still use it to this day. Always go with your gut. When something isn't right. The hairs stick up at the on the back of your neck, and Usually that's an indication, this is probably not the right thing to do right now.
Yeah.
And always listen to your instincts. You'll be in good shape.
Yeah. I mean, if the best person to gauge something's wrong, like, is the person in that situation. So
Exactly.
definitely the best thing you can say is just trust your guts.
Absolutely. Yep.
All
Well
right,
stated. Yep.
Thank you for your time, Officer DiGiorgio.
Thanks, Julian. I appreciate it. Good luck with everything.
You too. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching our video on drunk driving.